It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Cassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
Happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Two Guys and a Goalie. Nielsen, Gage, and Cass back with you once again. It is brought to you by our friends at CoolBet. Sign up for an account today and use the code 2GUYS, the number 2, and the word guys when you sign up over at CoolBet.com. We've got lots to get to. Obviously, the Edmonton Oilers, they win again. Chris Abbot from CoolBet's going to pop by. Ovi hits 50. We didn't even mention it earlier, but the Arizona Coyotes ticket prices in their tiny little barn are now up, and I don't know. They're putting that. I gotta get to it right away. Sorry, boys. Right off the top here. I mean, they're putting that. It's on campus, isn't it? It's like a university. And I know there's some people said, man, they might get that university atmosphere there, and it might be awesome. But university students aren't paying $500 to sit next to the glass and watch the Arizona Coyotes play. So I don't know. It just seemed a little bit bizarre to me, Gager. But the fact that the NHL is allowing this to go ahead is it's amazing to me. It's sad, but amazing.
There must be some sort of
back end deal
or something, but
yeah.
The one end, it's like $86. Is that a standing area?
It looks like standing room only or something. I thought maybe there was no seats there at all.
Yeah, that's how it kind of looks. So I mean, that's the only place people are going to be. Any college students, they'll probably have something. Yeah, it's way too much money. Who's going to spend $400 to go sit in that dinky little arena? It's absolutely ridiculous, but I can't wait to see it.
Cash, you're just shaking your head.
Like, why wouldn't you move the team to Houston for 1 year? 1 year. Pay an agreement, get down there. Like, even if you don't, fill up the Toyota Center, you're getting. You hopefully will get like 10 to 12,000 plus a night. If no football or no basketball or no baseball is on, you'll get 14 to 20,000 in that building at least. And that was in the AHL. Like we'd get 12,000 on a Friday night or a Saturday night if there's no football, no like big college football games or anything. So you can do it and do well. I don't understand this move by the league. It's so embarrassing. It's so horrible. It looks so bad. If you needed to relocate for a year, fine. People are going to understand. It's going to make sense. This just didn't make sense. It's just stupid. It's just
we're talking a few years in this little barn. Like, can you imagine how much we would mock another league if an NBA team had to play in a 5,000 seat stadium or a 4,500 seat stadium? That's just like, it'd be relentless. Like nobody would do that. I mean, imagine, my goodness, imagine if the Canadian Football League did something like this. People would view, CFL's dead. I mean, they got to, it's just, it's sad for the National Hockey League that they're pushing ahead with this. It's frustrating for sure. And plus the team's shit, so that's not going to help the cause anyway.
Is it because the only thing I could think of is the staff that works. Like if they were to relocate, I mean, I guess they would all lose their jobs essentially, right? So
or have to move. Yeah.
Or have to move. But because I was thinking, why wouldn't you just throw them in? You could throw them in Quebec City for a year, or something like that, or whatever. You could have almost 2 NHL teams in one city just for a year, somewhere that could support it. But man, it's a bad look.
We will we'll get into the Oilers here. Obviously, we'll get to Ovi hitting 50 as well. If you're watching right now on the live stream, or even if you're listening on the podcast, and if you're watching, if you're not yet subscribed to the podcast, search Two Guys and Goalie on all your podcasting platforms. There's the three of us. It's Nielsen, Cass, and Gager. And if you had to guess which one of us woke up this morning thinking they shit their own bed last night, which one of us do you think it would be?
Should be a Twitter poll right now.
Gager, we get this text from Gager, and it looks like he shit his bed last night. But Gager, what was this?
So, first of all, I was telling you, Dusty, the emotions that go through your mind when you pull back the sheets and look where you were sleeping for a better part of the evening, and there's this massive amount of feces in your bed, and you're like. At first, I was like, what? When did I do this? Because I do remember slipping at one point during my sleep. Like, I sleep on my side, so I slipped. I go, that's weird. And so, but this morning, I looked, and the whole night went through, did I do that then? And then I realized that my daughter was in my bed last night on her laptop with some Easter chocolate and had left an egg.
Sure.
I slept on it. Well, I should
if she left
give you the
an egg,
video of
I
me
got a
licking
question.
the sheets.
I got a question. So she left an egg. I mean, you were texting us and being like, "Oh, there's tinfoil and this and that." Like, eggs don't leave tinfoil, Gager. Something's not adding up.
No, it's those little eggs. The little I'll show you. It's in the garbage upstairs. I'll have to tweet this out because the picture I sent you, it's pretty incriminating. Actually,
I mean, you're just giving people ammo for the roast here about pooping your bed.
I was gonna say.
I really. What can I say, boys? I shit the bed.
Oh, that's a sec. I just write that down. Episode 221. I shit the bed. Hey, speaking of the roasts, a week from today, on the Thursday episode next week of Two Guys and a Goalie cast, what are we going to do? What do we got to do here? What do we got to set up?
We'll start announcing it right now. We'll do the real announcement next Monday. But if people want to start prepping for this, I think it would be a good idea. So we're going to do a giveaway. Couple of tickets to give away, a pair of tickets on next Thursday for the roast of Joaquin Gage, presented by Kid Sport. But what it's going to be is we're going to have Gage read mean tweets live, kind of as a preamble, like to get ready for this. Yeah. So you're going to have to tag the podcast, tag Kid Sport. I think those will probably be the two requirements, and send in your mean Gage tweets. Now let's keep them like hockey related. And let's be reasonable. Like there's no point in being like so completely ridiculous. Obviously, there's things that if you don't know at this point that are offside in your life, then you need a good slap upside the head. So there's stuff don't go after, but especially like on the hockey side, pretty open season. So send in your mean tweets about Joaquin Gage. We're gonna have him read live some of them, and then he's gonna pick the best one. And the best one's going to win a pair of tickets to the roast of Joaquin Gage.
That'll be fun. Gager, you've probably heard and read worse about yourself than anything that's going to pop up anyway, right?
Every time after I played looking at Terry Jones' article or spec, usually that was just one big, huge, mean tweet in black and white. So, yeah.
I might try to find some of those old quotes and mix them in as the tweets so we can see which one is them ripping you apart. That would be that would be fun. I think that would be good.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Well, just go to Specs articles. They're all
and you know what? I'm even I'll have them. I got the graphics now, so I'll have to tweet those out. Like
okay, cool.
They're starting the OEG, so the ones like that we got permission to use officially from the NHL and from the Oilers. So we got a couple of those that are getting doctored up right now as we speak. So they look pretty sharp.
That should be good. We're looking forward to it. Obviously, the roast May 13th, and we're going to be tearing Gager apart. So you're going to want to be a part of that. Follow all of our social media accounts for obviously details on tickets and things like that. All right, Edmonton Oilers, by at that point, they'll be in the thick of a playoff series, maybe even already advancing. Who knows? But Gager, let's start there. We got to talk about it, buddy. What are you saying here? Limit our expectations, or how are you approaching this?
I'm saying let's not get too horny here. All right. I know Oilers fans, it's like you're at the bar, you got your nice t-shirt on, and people are noticing you, and you're feeling good about yourself, and things have been going well. But let's pull back a little bit, because I have a feeling that if the Oilers get into the playoffs here and lose a game, it's going to be the sky is falling. We need to have an even keel here. It's just everyone pumping up. Everyone's just so excited about the Oilers at this point, how great everything is, and all these expectations. Let's just cool down a little bit and realize that this isn't a sprint. This is a marathon here, and we gotta. The amount of alcohol that will be consumed throughout these playoffs is going to be quite plentiful. But we just got to hold on a little bit, take our time, ease into it, and not get too rattled if there's a loss here or there. I think I'd like to see Oilers fans just calm down a little bit.
So when we say, let's say, what is going too far right now, Gager? Is it if they don't make it to the Western Conference Final, is that kind of where it's at? Because I think it's kind of reasonable to expect them to win a round, but is it beyond that where we might just want to pump the brakes a little bit? Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, I feel a first round advance is expected. Okay, 2 rounds is nice. 3, that's stretching it a little bit, I think, just the caliber of the other teams and getting to that point, and just the fact that, yes, the Oilers, I think that the game against the Stars actually encompassed the Oilers season up to this point a little bit. Like, great start, middle, the Stars came back a little bit, and then in the third period, you saw the Oilers kind of take it to another level and start playing the way that we've become accustomed to in the last couple weeks here. But man, I don't want to get too excited because the disappointment factor is just too great than the gains in this situation.
Cass, what do you think? What do you think that level of hype should be around this team right now?
I don't want to dissuade the hype. There's been so much darkness for so long. There's been so much sadness for so long that, you know what? If the Oilers, if they drop a turd in the bed, they drop a turd in the bed. And you know what? We're just gonna have to deal with it. But I'm fine with the hype right now. Like I'm excited. It's been a long couple of years for the world, and it's been even a longer couple of years, really for Oilers fans. And I know we had some reprieve and a little run, and the refs screwed them against Anaheim, and I get that.
But that was 5 years ago.
That was 5 years ago. So it's time. I'm not trying to calm people down. People want to talk themselves down, fine, but I'm all about the hype right now. Hype machine this thing up. Let's get amped up. Let's get fired up. Let's make it like life or death, and let's hang on everything that happens, every single play that happens on the ice. And I'm saying that now, and then I'm betting on pre and post game show. I'm going to be like, calm down, everybody, calm down.
Yeah,
don't freak out. But part of me is just like, let's freak out a little bit. It'll be fun.
See, but that's what I'm saying, Cass. If you can shit the bed, but sometimes it ends up it's just chocolate, so it's okay.
Speaking from experience, obviously this morning is Gager.
Yeah.
But they're 22-8-3 under Woodcroft. 7-12 winning percentage. I mean, Smith's been on this crazy 9-0-1, 948 save percentage run right now. They're 11-0-1 in their last 12 at home. Cass, how much do you just say, okay, this is who the Oilers are under Woodcroft, as opposed to the team that sucked in the middle part of the season, or the team that maybe got lucky because of a red hot power play in the first part of the season? Like, who are the Oilers that you're thinking about like now?
I mean, I'm thinking about the now Oilers.
Yeah.
What reason
they're pretty good.
Given us to? Yeah, they're pretty good. What reason? And that's why I'm all about the hype machine. What reason have they given us to say that they're not, or to sit back and to struggle like they did in the months of darkness in midwinter this season? Like, they haven't given that to us since Woodcroft's been on the bench. Like, have they had a bad game or two? Yeah, of course.
The odd one.
Have they? But have they consistently been horrible? No, they've been really, really good. And I mean, I think this is the team that you're going to get. It is a balance between the two. 5-on-5, they're way better than they were at the start of the year. They're way better than they were when they were struggling. Their power play is now, I think, at a sustainable level, where we've seen it balance out, where it's been better. Still has good stretches, still has bad stretches, but is more like, okay, they can keep it clipping at this pace. Penalty kill has improved. So they've improved in a lot of areas where they struggled. 5-on-5, I don't think they're going to change much. So I think the Woodcroft Oilers are the Oilers. That's what we're going to see, and what we're going to see heading into the playoffs.
We will play a little Western Conference Keep It or Clip It a little bit later on. A couple other things that we got to talk about as well, including Alexander Ovechkin hitting 50 goals in his 17th season. So we'll get to that. But Chris Abbot, fresh off a Raptors game last night, we got a nice little will a Canadian team win a Stanley Cup bet that we can get to as well. He joins us this morning from Toronto. Chris, how you doing, buddy? How's the game last night, man?
I'm doing well, guys. Yeah, I mean, I haven't slept in like 6 weeks, but I'm doing well. We had the whole Coolbeck crew was in town, so we went to the Raptors game. It was a whole lot of fun. One of my worst beats of all time. I had Embiid under 32.5 points. I think he had like 5 points in the first half. I was like, okay. Third quarter, I'm like, oh shit. Fourth quarter, he doesn't play a whole lot. 28 points at the end of regulation. He's only got 30 at the last inbounds of overtime, and he hits 3. It was one of the worst losses I ever had. But it was a great atmosphere, like just unbelievable to be in the building. It was jumping.
It looked awesome. Watching from afar, it looked awesome. Even if Embiid is one of the softest big men in the history of the NBA. Holy smokes, eh? He looks like I could go push this guy over. Come on.
It's brutal. I mean, you saw me spouting off on Twitter. I was watching the game with my boss, who was born and raised in Estonia. It's soccer country over there, that and he's looking at me going, "These guys are just falling over." I'm like, the soccer guys are like, "What is wrong with Embiid and Harden?" I tell you this: if it's my team, right? If I'm a bench guy on that team, I have no respect for these guys. They're awesome, like skill wise, like at the Y, watching these guys play would be jaw dropping. In fact, sometimes in the NBA they're jaw dropping. But the other stuff, Cass Gager, I'm sure you played with guys like that were, what was the guy's name in Goon? The French guy. He was awesome, but he was just the worst teammate ever. And I feel like that's so frustrating.
I find it frustrating watching the foosball at times with the amount of diving and trying to. It just drives me crazy. I'm wired to, as hockey players, to battle through those types of things. Any sort of person who dove was just, if you had one free bullet, they would drive me just crazy with that. So it's going to be tough at the World Cup for me because I want to watch it, definitely. But when I see guys just, when the guy goes up beside someone and lifts his arm into his own face and then goes down like he was shot, I'm just like, oh my gosh, how does that guy survive out of the building? I don't, it's crazy. It drives me nuts. Can't stand it.
Is there anybody that you guys would label as the biggest diver in NHL history? Is there one guy that has kind of been known for embellishment? Like, I remember Mikey Ribeiro used to go down pretty easy on a lot of stuff.
Good.
You know who I hated more than anyone was I really hated this guy. Where to the point where I don't know if I'd even say hi to him. But Darcy Tucker was one of the worst players to play against. Because he was super talented, and I mean, he really had to change his game to become a bona fide.
He was an offensive stud in the Western League, right? Like, yeah,
he was incredible. But I mean, I don't know what round he went in, but he would skate around the ice going, "How much you signed for? How much you signed for? I got the bucks. I got the bucks." That's what he would say, and he would just he wouldn't shut up, and he could score, which was really frustrating. And then if you touched him, oh my God, he was just, like the snipers are out and took him out. He was awful. He was just awful. One free bullet for Darcy Tucker back in the day, please.
Burrows was really bad for that. He was one of the ones that we, when I was with Minnesota and with Ottawa, he was just like, and he was a good player. Same thing, like good player, like. Respect him as a player. I think, running power plays and stuff now in Montreal, like he's going to do a great job there, I think, with that organization. But man, like we watched it, we must have had this one clip of him, and it was after we had played them in Minnesota against them, where and it was actually me. It was me that did it. Didn't get a penalty for it. He should have got a diving for it. Where I skated by him and I was going for a change, and it was just like a little tap on the back of his leg, and he full somersaulted in the neutral zone. Like it was like a head underneath, like feet in the air, like full flip, and I just skated by like, what are you doing? And our whole bench just kind of everyone was like, is this guy serious right now? He was one of those guys that tried to sell everything like that. Again, really good player, a ton of respect for him, but man, he had a repitation, at least against us, as being one of those guys that just full on, just you breathe on him and he just is down. He was pretty bad for that.
It was hard to watch last night. And I'm admittedly a casual basketball fan. And when you're that good, you don't need to do that, right? Like fight through it a little bit. And I've been around those athletes in my life as a coach and as a player back, in my amateur days. And it's just, I don't know how you respect those guys when they're on your team. And if that's the leadership and the culture, it's like they're destined to fail. So I will bet against Philadelphia. Toronto shouldn't be within 30 points of them, talent-wise, right?
Yeah.
Like the skill they have on the floor, Toronto had no business even being in overtime. And that's full marks to the Raptors because they played hard. They just don't have the horses. I think they might line up to play Miami next. So I'll be like, Jimmy Butler's going to drive him crazy, and I can't wait for it.
As we creep towards the National Hockey League playoffs, Toronto, Calgary, Edmonton are all going to be there. What I see today, I retweeted it. It's a plus 250 for a Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup, minus 323 for no. Are you picking a side on that one, Chris? What do you think? I mean, I think we probably, as a nation, have a better chance to do it this year than we have in quite some time. Like, I know Montreal went on the miraculous run, and some other teams have kind of been there, but I think there's 3 pretty good teams going into the playoffs this year.
Yeah, well, when I saw that number, I was like, well, it seems kind of low. Like, should it be a higher odds? But when you look at the futures right now, Calgary and Toronto are 3-4. So okay, and then honestly, I mean, if I'm you guys, I'm hitting Edmonton at like 21-1 or 23-1, whatever they are right now. I do think this playoffs is going to be wide open. I don't, now I could be wrong. Colorado and Florida could march to the final, and for a repeat of what was it, 1996, right? But I just think it's literally anybody's to win at this point. Cass's Minnesota Wild could be a team that's like, I think there's a lot of value deep on the board. But plus 250 for a Canadian team to win. There's 3 that could potentially win, 3 of the 16 teams. So I mean, I bet it. Although if we're talking value, 12 or 13 of the 16 teams are going to be American. So I want to lay that minus 323. That's probably not bad odds either. Like, a lot of times on these things, you only get one option, this team to do this. Well, what about the 13 American teams at minus 323, which you'd never normally play? But yeah, it might be a pretty good bet, actually.
Hey, is there any concern about Auston Matthews missing some time out here in Toronto? What's going on with this guy?
I would go bet some longer shots on the Hart Trophy today if it was up to me. So the Auston Matthews thing, I don't know. I don't know if that's concerning. I don't even really know what's wrong with him, to be honest. But if he's not there, then they're definitely out in the first round. I don't think that's the question.
Who do you think they'd rather play in the first round, Boston or Tampa?
Boy, they've handled the Bruins pretty well this year. Like, take the history part out of it, they've handled the Bruins pretty well. Pasternak, Bergeron, and Marchand can't be the big bad trio that beats them forever in a day. Tuukka Rask is in there. I think they'd probably rather play Boston.
Eesh. I don't know. Those ghosts will be flying around if they drop game 1 against Boston. Oh my gosh.
I know. Listen, I know it would be a great narrative, but I think just on the ice right now, first of all, you never want to go up against the best goalie, right? And then Tampa's got him when he's
that's
on.
true.
So for me, I'd rather play Boston if it was me.
Yeah, no Tuukka Rask between the pipes anymore, which would make a big difference there. Chris, we appreciate you popping by, buddy. I'll talk to you tomorrow on the Lock Shop, man.
Okay, thanks for having me, guys. Talk soon.
There you go. That's Chris Abbot from Coolbet. You can find him on Twitter at Coolbet Canada, where I do believe the total on Ovechkin season goals was set at 49.5, and he hit 50 last night. So let's dive into that, Cass. What do we got to talk about, buddy?
I want to talk about Mr. Alexander Ovechkin hitting the nifty 50 again. Pretty unbelievable, this guy. Best modern day scorer, probably arguably the best scorer of all time, but pretty amazing here that he hits 50 again. Like, I keep thinking he's going to start to slow down, but he keeps just getting closer and closer and closer to that Gretzky record here for goals. And I'm hoping he just keeps pushing. I'm hoping he keeps pushing because I want to see it get tighter and tighter, and I want to see that excitement build towards if he's going to be able to do it or not. But guys, I don't know. Like, I'm just blown away by this guy. Like, over and over and over again, he finds ways to score and finds ways to put in the puck in the net. It's ridiculous what he's doing. And even now at his age to be getting another 50 here, with the amount of lockouts he's gone through and shortened seasons with COVID he's had, and he's still putting 50 away. Just unbelievable. So I'm pumped for it. I was so happy when he got it. I want to just see him continue to score at this pace. Just crazy. So cool.
there's no better way to score 50th than a clapper from the tops of the circles too. Like
they clocked it at 101 miles per hour, Gager.
Oh my God, man. And I was like looking at this before, and I was kind of looking at all these other guys, like all the guys that have scored 50 this year, first of all, and then all these guys that are like, what is it? Almost 12 people could actually finish with like 100 points this year, are pretty close.
There's a bunch of guys who could take a run at it, yeah.
And so, to me, I'm like, gosh, have scores actually started to figure out goalies nowadays? Like beating them cleanly from distance in certain situations? Because I really do think over the last few years, goalies have dominated. If you look at their stats and things, and guys had trouble scoring, and now I don't know, maybe it's the full season or something like that, but to see these guys scoring at this type of pace, it's like, gosh, are the 80s coming back? I'm gonna have to go get some different clothes if this is the case, because I mean, I'm all for it. I think it's great. I think goalies have become too much blockers and not enough guys making saves. I like that part of it. I think it distinguishes the really good ones from the standard ones of just being blockers. But Ovechkin's on a different level because he's been figuring it out for the past 17 years. And man, I'm trying to figure out, okay, what's that window of what we're going to be watching him almost on a nightly basis. And so what is it? Probably 2 years from now, we're going to be watching every Capitals game is going to be on TV because it's going to be the goal watch.
He is 114 goals behind Wayne Gretzky right now. And yeah, I would think not next season, not the following season, not the following season, probably Christmas 2.5 years from now is when he's going to be closing in on it. If you're looking at like 45, 90, right? And the thing is that if the game keeps trending this way, like if the league has another year next year, like they've had this year, Ovi's going to score 48, 49, 50 again. And then if they do it again the following year, like Cass, do you think this is and not just Ovi related, but is this a one-off this year, or is this a trend where we're going to see 4 or 5 guys score 50? Because there was a stretch from 2012 to 2019. Ovi's the only guy who scored 50, and he did it like 4 times. Like, do you think we're getting into some sort of new era of offense?
Well, I think you've seen it, and it's a combination of teams playing more fast and loose, adjustment to more of a skilled game. Them trying to limit things like the size of goalies' pads, where that has had some effect. And I do think it has, like limiting some of the equipment and managing that, because we all know that goalies are cheaters. So they're gonna do whatever they can. Even if it means putting fake poop in their bed, whatever it takes, they'll do. So yeah, I think we're probably going to be in a little bit of an uptrend. How much more than what we're seeing right now? I don't know if it gets much more than it is right now. I think we're seeing at the higher point of it in terms of teams and the style that they're trying to play. But I think that's also going to go in waves, because it depends on what teams that are winning are doing. Like if you come in, let's say this next year, you have all these high-fluting teams like a Florida, and who's putting a ton of points on the board, scoring a lot of goals. Edmonton could be another example. Toronto could be an example. Colorado to an extent, and all of a sudden they start losing to teams that just lock you down defensively. Well, all of a sudden there's going to be a shift to, oh no, we got to limit some of our scoring chances against to win. If we want to win in the playoffs, we got to do this or we got to do that. Like there's always a little bit of a trend that is followed by teams based on whoever wins and whoever has success. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. We've definitely seen an upside, and it's good. Like it's good. I'm happy there's more scoring.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I like seeing all these guys put up big numbers, man. It's fun.
Yeah, but it's not excessive. Like where scoring 50 still feels significant. Like if it gets to a point where it doesn't feel significant anymore, then I'll kind of be like, well, I don't know. But for right now, I think you're in a pretty good place, and good place seeing what teams are doing offensively as well.
Puck's juiced.
Yeah, juiced.
Just for Chris Kreider. Chris Kreider has scored 50 goals this year, which is amazing. He's got 23 assists and he's got 50 goals. So he's taking that Cy Young.
Mangiapane have too? Mangiapane?
Yeah, he's got.
Mangiapane.
Where is he?
He's
got 34.
And
Yeah,
Kachuk's
he's got
got
34
99
goals.
points. That's the quietest 100-point season ever with Kachuk. That's
yeah, he's going to get it too. And we'll talk about him a little bit later on here with Keep It or Clip It. Let's continue with who got to talk about it. I just want to hit on this from an Oilers perspective because they lose to Minnesota, right? And then they go to 11-7, and then go back-to-back 4-0 shutouts and a tidy victory, last night against Dallas as well. Gager, do you think this is something they run with here for a while, or is it like they lose a game and they go back to 12-6 and they start the playoffs in 12-6, or is this just an 11-7 team? I mean, I like the way they look 11-7. I think it suits their personnel, but where do you come out on this?
I like it because I think it involves all the forwards in the lineup a little bit more. And I think it protects some of their younger D with having an extra D-man on there. I think it just works with this team right now. We saw in the past, and I think you were talking about it this morning, Dusty, on how the players that were probably should have been in that kind of bottom 6 kind of categories, but were playing top 9 or top 6 minutes, and now are actually in their slotted positions where they should have been the whole time, is making the world of difference. And the fact that you can, Cass could probably talk about this more than I could, but when you're in those bottom, third, fourth line, just say whatever, and all of a sudden you have Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl on your line, you just feel a little bit like it means more to you to accomplish things on the ice instead of just dumping the puck, getting a hit and getting off, like actually being creative. I think we've seen a lot more creativity from those bottom lines at times, and we're not just there not to get scored on. If we get a chance, we can go for it. So,
but is it the bottom lines? Oh, sorry. Finish up.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
I was going to say, is it the bottom lines that are adding to the scoring? Because I don't know if it's the bottom lines that are adding to it that much. Like, it's the top end guys that are continuing to plug away at points. Like, even for the Oilers, like if you look at their bottom 6 or that fourth line in particular, because the Oilers have pretty good depth. Like you have Ryan Nugent-Hopkins on your third line. Like
I was gonna say, like Fogle and Ryan have been scoring a little bit, but that's your third line, right?
That's your third line, and they played with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and getting a little bit more opportunity. But like, has your fourth line really scored that much more?
I don't think it's a point of scoring so much, but the fact that they're not just out there to not get scored on, Cass. And they're actually, maybe the play doesn't end up back in their end and they're fighting and drawing penalties or getting scored against, right? Their defensive play seems a lot better and things like that. So it's not killing the momentum that the team is generating with those top twos. It's not dying on their stick as much as it used to in the past. Maybe that's more what I like about the 12-7.
I think they're going to ride it for a little bit. The way it suits their defense, as Gager mentioned, and you got your couple of forwards that you like to have in there, and then you can rotate the other guys through. I think they look really, really good when they're in a 11-7 setup. Even when it was earlier in the year, or earlier in Woodcroft there, when it was the younger defenseman, I thought, he's just doing this because of the younger defenseman. But now really Bouchard's the only younger defenseman there, and they're still doing it, and it looks even better. So we'll see how long they run with it, and if there's a hiccup along the way, if they go away from it. But they went to it after the loss to Minnesota, and they have not lost since. So it certainly helped so far. All right, let's get into Keep It or Clip It, boys. Got a little Western Conference edition here of Keep It or Clip It. We already talked about the Leafs playing the Bruins or Lightning, so we'll skip that question. I got 3 other ones. Let's start here. Let's start with this one. The Minnesota Wild have a better shot at knocking off Colorado than the Blues would. Keep it or clip it?
I'm going to keep it. Yeah, keep it. Absolutely. Like Blues, they have some size. They have some good things going for them. Good team. I think Minnesota's a better team. To me, they're the absolute dark horse in the West. Like I think they could beat them, and it is it more likely? Would I still most likely pick Colorado to win that series? Yeah, probably. But Minnesota's going to make it tough. Like they play up and down playoff hockey. They got good defense, and now they got goaltending. So they're a scary team because if you have Fleury in net, for example, and he heats up and he's having a series, they could beat Colorado. They really could do it. Like their offense is underrated. They're aggressive. They play hard. They force you to make mistakes. I think they're one of the teams that could put Colorado on their own heels a little bit, especially since, Colorado's got D-men that do a good job of moving the puck up ice and jumping into the play. Minnesota is a team, I think, offensively that they're so aggressive that they're going to challenge some of those guys and they're going to make them a little bit uncomfortable. So they're 100% my dark horse.
Yeah, they got the X factor, the wildflower. And I mean, and even if he struggles, you come back with Talbot.
Talbot's been really good since they got Fleury too, right?
Yeah, they got two really good guys that if one falters, they can come back with the other one. And I don't think you can say the same with St. Louis. I mean, Ville, what's his last name there?
Husso.
Husso I think, is a fantastic goalie watching him play, but Bennington has really struggled this year.
All right, let's go here next. The Edmonton Oilers could sign Kane, Yamo, and JP for $11 million or less. Keep it or clip it. Any chance they could keep those guys around for 11 or less?
I'm pulling up my calculator.
So they're going to pay Kane 10.
And the other guys are going to be on entry-level deals, essentially. I think it would break down like 5, 3, and 3 is kind of like the ballpark, but what do you think?
That's kind of what I was looking at. It's the numbers that I actually just punched in. I'm just trying to think of comparables for JP because I think you could probably get Yamo for 3. I think that would be a reasonable cost in that ballpark. Do you think you're going to get Puljujarvi for 3?
On a short-term deal, not on a long-term deal. Like I don't think he's signing 6 years at $3 million per. But what do you do?
You may get him in like a 2-year bridge.
Yeah. 2-year, but I think 2-year bridge might take him to unrestricted free agency, though.
Well, but if you're wanting him for $3 million, that's what he might look at.
Yeah, that's true too. Like take $3 million for a couple years, and then he can make his own call after that.
And then he can make his own call. Like otherwise, you might, if you're going to want to sign him, because he's going to start losing those unrestricted years, so he's going to probably say, well, "No, you're going to have to pay me more." Like, I'm going to get more than 3 on the open market. So,
Kane is just so good with Connor McDavid. Like you can see that he's reading off him way better now too. Like that first goal, like Connor just all those guys are just watching Connor, and he slips back door and pounds that. I hope he really is enjoying his time at Edmonton. I mean, if all the people out there at restaurants, if you see this guy, make sure he doesn't pay for a thing because we got to entice this deal a little bit.
It's all going to depend on what happens with that arbitration.
You think that has a big deal with it?
Oh, huge. Because if Kane gets a whole bunch of money, like his all of a sudden it may still be like
not as desperate though to cash in.
Not as desperate to cash in, where it's like, okay, if I have to take $5 million in Edmonton as opposed to $6 or $7 million somewhere else, well, I can take the $5 million or take a 1 year less on the deal or whatever. And even then I'd still be nervous about Kane from anything more than a 1 year or a 2 year deal. Like I would look at a 2 year deal for him. But if you start getting to that 3 or 4, we've seen teams get bit with it before with Evander Kane, and I would be just a little wary of doing it, which is really hard for me to say because he has been so good. But if I put my no, we have to make thought out decisions here, I would be a little wary of it. But if Kane gets a big chunk of money from the Sharks in the contract termination, then you're more likely to get him for that $5 million. But if he doesn't, you're not squeezing under that $11 million.
That's what we should have had, Chris, the over-under on how much he would get.
Yeah,
what,
that'd be a good one. That would be super.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
That would be.
Yeah, we can run that by him for sure. Speaking of how much they're going to get, final question, keep it or clip it. Matthew Tkachuk is going to get $10.5 million per year or more. RFA. I think his qualifying offer has to come in at 9.
I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it because they'll probably, they're going to look They're going to look 7 or 8 years. And they're going to want to lock it in. And it's going to be one of those contracts that for the first 2 years is probably a little too high. But as revenue goes back up and his salary cap goes back up, it'll be reasonable, I think, towards the middle point of it. Depending on career trajectory, an 8-year deal. Towards the end of it, is it worth it? Maybe not, but they'll probably hit that sweet spot in the middle. So I think it's going to be around there.
Yeah, I'll keep it to now that you've put it that way. You've made a lot of sense, Cass.
For once.
All right, before we wrap up the episode, Oilers, Colorado on Friday night. The Oilers have played the Avs very well. Last 2 times they played them, just couldn't beat them. Got a point, couldn't finish it. Do you guys think they get it done Friday night at home here against Colorado? Because I do. I think they're going to win that hockey game.
You know what? I'll keep it. I think they will, just because how the last game ended. And let's face it, this is the measuring stick of the Western Conference, right? Like, I think if you were to poll all the coaches and players right now, they think if they're to get to the Stanley Cup final, they're going to have to go through Colorado at some point. I think that's pretty fair to say it. So they were up for the last game. Too bad it got to the. I would have liked to see just 5-on-5 play, to tell you the truth, for the rest of that game for sure. But yeah, I think they'll get it done this time.
Go ahead, be negative, Cass. Be negative.
No. I've been so positive everywhere with these. Like, anytime it's been like the Oilers, I'm like, Oilers winning 7-1. Like every single prediction.
You're poopy pants.
Yeah, they were right there last game. They were right there.
50 bloody shots.
They're feeling it. I'm going to say they win this. I'm going to say they win this, and it's at home. They played well at home. Playing really well at home. Going to have the crowd behind them. Going to be a lot of excitement.
Friday night.
I say they win it.
It's unanimous. It's unanimous across the board with 2 guys in goal. The Oilers are going to beat the Colorado Avalanche. I haven't looked at the odds yet, but I'm hoping they're a home dog, and we can hammer them with our friends over at CoolBet. That's going to do it for another episode of 2 Guys and a Goalie. If you've been listening to the podcast, fire us a 5-star rating. Leave a comment. That would be great. If you've only been watching on the live stream or archive video or on YouTube or whatever, make sure you do subscribe to the podcast. And we'll be back again with a new episode on Monday, talking Oilers and everything else going on around the National Hockey League. Gage, Cass, enjoy your weekend, boys. We'll talk to you Monday.
We will.
Later,
Start
boys.
thinking